Good evening, everyone. Apparently, my lovely girlfriend again wants to do
girlfriend.
Yes, because you get downgraded when I have to do these things. So tonight we're making a little bit of the traditional Danish casserole with a twist. I've taken pork chops. These are made from the not-fat part, not the back of the or the butt as we normally would call it in English, but from the stomach lining instead. They are marinating right now in what is a bourbon solution, a little bit of whiskey or bourbon, whatever you have, and then just marinate them in there for about 30 minutes. Those are going to go in the pan afterwards. We have onions and we have snack peppers, which is long red peppers, which we'll be using cutting up. We have chopped tomatoes again, nice and easy, and of course we have a single bouillon cube with beef stock because I'm lazy and don't really want to make beef stock from scratch. If you do ever want to make that, it's very easy, it just takes forever. We're going to chop the onions, fry them on the pan, get them nice and caramelized, then we'll add the peppers to give that a stir. We'll cook some rice in the cooker, and once we're done with that, we'll simply add everything together with the now cooked pork chops in the bottom, and then we'll have a nice little casserole covered with everything in it. Yeah. Alright, so if you look at the chop, you'll notice that I've chopped it a little bit less fine than I did the other day. You'll see we have a very large or relatively large chop on them. That's because we want them to actually not only add flavor. Last time we were using them as an aromatic and wanted them almost to disappear when we were using them. This time we want them to actually have the crunch, so they actually taste like something when we use them. So for this, we've added them a little bit bigger. Don't worry too much if you get them too large, they'll shrink once the heat starts taking off the, draining the water basically. So they'll lose a little bit of size. Then we are again heating our pan. Remember, all the way down. If you can't keep your hand there while you count into 5, it's hot enough. If not, wait a little bit. We're approaching that point. Now, last time we used olive oil. Today we'll use a tasteless sunflower oil. It has no taste, basically just to get the caramelization started. Generous amount of that on there. Give it a whirl.
You want this?
Yes, thank you. Again, give it a good count to 10 after you've put in the oil for the oil to start actually having the heat. You can see smoke coming off the pan. Just to check the oil. Take a little bit of water on your fingers. Just play. That sound there. It's ready.
Oh.
So onions in. Make sure they're all covered in oil. And then sit back, turn the heat down ever so slightly to get a slow caramelization on the onions. If you want it to go quicker, we can add sugar and we can add water to it and just boil them up. The sugar helps with the caramelization. Natural caramelization takes a little longer and is generally preferred. Use a spoon or stirring device to break up any of the larger chunks so you get a nice caramelization on everything. But generally, leave it be. Don't. I see people all the time standing around going, I want to stir in my food. Don't stir your food. Give it time and let it sit on the heat, and then simply just flip it once in a while, and otherwise let it be. Same thing with steak. Don't move it, let it get this color it needs. Starting to caramelize a little bit, so we're taking to the next step, which is just simply add peppers. Add the peppers. Now, don't be afraid of the peppers. It's going to splash a little bit. That's simply just the water and the cold peppers draining heat. Now, don't be afraid of that. It will take a little while. You'll see a little bit of liquid being added to, if you come real close, you can see a little bit of liquid added to the pan. You can see that it's starting to spread around. That's simply from the peppers. Now, we're using that liquid to make the onions caramelize a little slower and a little better because they were starting to burn and we don't really want that. So now these two will give off all that flavor into the pan, and once they've done that, we're taking them out and we're simply throwing the going to give some, give a nice, we're going to give a nice salt and pepper distribution on our pork chops. And we're going to throw them on the pan right away to absorb some of that flavour together with the bourbon. And then all of that up in a pan with this on top. And then we pour rice and we make this sauce in with the tomato sauce in that with some beef stock and pour that over and done in the oven for about half an hour and we got food.
So we should turn on the oven.
We should turn on the oven in a little bit, yes. That's pretty much it.
$200?
180.
180. Yeah, 180.
And that's pretty much it. So now we'll just simply keep that stirring. Now we stir a little bit, and as you can see, we're already getting a lot more color on the onions without them actually burning because of the reduced heat and the extra liquid. So just give that another 2 minutes, and we're good to go.
Okay. See you in the next.
Our aromatics out of the pan, turning the heat back up to full and letting that go. Whatever's left is going to be there, I don't really care. Here comes the secret to our recipe. Butter, just a knob, tablespoon of butter onto there once you start cooking. As you can see over here, I've already taken out my bourbon soaked pork chops, given a little bit of salt and pepper, and they're going to go on 2 at a time. And then once everything is cooked and they have a nice crust, we're going to add the rest of the bourbon solution, which you will see over here in the bag, and cook it off with that. But first, a big tablespoon of butter, and of course we'll burn the butter because of the heat here, not something I would normally recommend. But the pork chops just needs to sear. They don't need to cook through on the pan, they just need to sear in the butter. And the butter is going to take a lot of heat off the pan, remember that guys. Cold things added to a pan takes heat away. And we use that to get that nice deglazing of the pan with all that aromatics. Now we actually have them down in the bottom. Give it a count to 10 again. And we bring our pork chocks over. Now we salted and peppered one side. That's the side we put down. And those 3 go on first, and then we'll do the other 2 afterwards. Again, salt, very little, and a little bit of pepper. Normally I would do this with a hand, but I'm lazy. There we go. Just let that sear. And just don't be afraid to just lift it up. Look at that, already have a nice, look at that, already looks nice. So we turn. That's pretty much all the time we're going to give them. That was about 30 seconds on one side. We're going to do the same on this side, and then we throw them into the pan over here, and we do the same with the next one. Yeah. So as you can see, we now have a good boil going on the tomatoes. We simply throw. Actually, we can just break this up if we want to, if you're being nice and want it to go a little bit quicker. We make up our bouillon cube into the tomatoes, whatever. Brush off our fingers to get a little bit extra. 300 milliliters of water. Normally I would use a little bit less, but we're going to reduce it a little bit here. There we go. And now we wait for that to boil up again. And this time we do keep stirring, because we want that bouillon cube to dissolve fully, give us a nice beefy flavor, very powerful flavor in here. As you can see, we've got some burnt onions, we'll pick those out. Salt, plenty of salt, and if you want, a little tad of oregano will really help the dish. I'm not going to do that because oregano. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Once we're done with that, we'll pour some rice into the pan, and we'll put this on top and then into the oven for 20 minutes. Right, so our rice is finished cooking. Christy loves her rice cooker. I don't understand why. It's just
yeah, I like rice cooker.
Yeah. We take this and we pour as much of this into the pan as well, into the dish as we can hold. Doesn't matter if your rice hasn't finished cooking, it's still gonna get lots of moisture from the sauce we just made that we're gonna add to it. There we go. Give that a nice scrape, as you can see. Christy claims the rice cooker doesn't burn the rice. I disagree.
No, it's not burned. It's
It's
just
stuck.
the way it is. It's because just cook.
I'm seeing burned rice, but that doesn't matter. So now that's in, we go over to our sauce. And we go the other way around. Give it a little bit of a stir here. Look how nice that looks. Tastes wonderful, by the way. In case people are wondering. Take a good hold and then slowly pour this in. I'll use my thumbs because I just put my stirring device on my stirring stick down. Just give it a little bit of a whirl through it all to get the liquid distributed. And then we make it even all across. You can even do it like this if you're really lazy. Done. And of course, because we don't want the rice to burn and become unedible very much, take a little bit of tin foil. Wrap tightly.
And done. It's done.